Welcome to Storytellers, the podcast where we hear the tales and journeys of inspiring members and supporters of NSA Houston. I'm your host, Beth Rohani, and here everyone has a unique story. So let's get nice and cozy as we spotlight our next storyteller. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce Megan Billnoske, a certified training manager and director with a remarkable 12-year career. This year, she's also the president-elect for the National Speakers Association, Houston's chapter. Megan's global impact shines. She's empowered 14,000 plus leaders worldwide with roles in esteemed organizations like Memorial Hermann, Oceaneering, Insperity, and Texas Tech University. In 2022, she launched Inspire LLC, a platform for training, speaking, and consulting that uplifts individuals and organizations. Megan's influence stretches beyond work. She's a volunteer at the University of Houston and the Houston Food Bank. I can't say enough about Megan. And I've seen her work ethic over the past couple of months. I've seen her attention to detail and her love for creativity. Please join me as we delve into Megan's incredible story. So get nice and comfy. Here is Megan Billnoske. Megan, I am so super excited to have you, and I'm so super excited to hear about everything that you've experienced in life, because you are just, when I see you, I'm like, wow, she's so young, and to be able to be so accomplished, it's just inspiring to hear. And so just kind of going through your journey, tell us a little bit about who you are and what have you done in your past where you've overcome your triumphs through this journey.
Oh, wow. Well, Beth, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the warm introduction. You know, I don't think it's anything I ever set out to check all those boxes and do all of the things you mentioned. It's just kind of what's been part of my story and kind of what happened. I would say a big thing that outlines what you've heard in Beth's introduction was I seem to always love to learn. And so with that comes learning different careers, one career, but different companies or different jobs, different industries. And so I've kind of that's just kind of who I am. I'm not afraid to learn and do different things. So I was really lucky that one of my first jobs, it was at a metal manufacturing company. It was an international company right when I got into professional career, mode, and it sent me all over the world. So I've trained and traveled, and I got to see amazing people, exotic food. Some of it I was pretty scared of, but I tried anyway, and just really absorb culture and people. And so it just kind of started a love affair of how do you get to know people? How are you curious? And as a trainer and as a speaker, I feel like getting to know people is just a part of that. So I think it's a lifelong journey of just being open-minded and growing skills and not being afraid to step through fear, because that seems to be a common thing when you're doing new stuff.
In our case, I consider us to be entrepreneurs because it is a path that we've taken to really grow as a business. And later we'll hear a little bit more about Inspire. But yeah, what have you gone through where you've had to shed the blood, sweat, and tears to get to where you are?
Well, there is a reason that saying is blood, sweat, and tears. I think that a lot of times on social media, we always see the highlights and the amazing things and the group photos or the high moments. And what you don't see are people publishing a lot of the pain, a lot of the suffering, the tears, like they are real. And so I'd say some of the big challenges, I'll start with my first one, and then maybe I'll do another one that kind of hinges together. I will say that there was a moment where I learned a lot about myself. And that's when I was asked to steal intellectual property for my company that I was at for another company. Now, I've had 27 bosses in 20 years. So my career has been 20 years long, since my first job when I was 16, right? So, but I've had a lot of different bosses and did not see this one coming the day that I was asked to do this project. And I actually asked, so you mean steal? And he said, yeah. And I just thought, okay, not only did I in 3 seconds lose a mentor, I no longer am attached to I'm not motivated to stay here anymore. And so it was really hard because this was a high level manager. I'd been there for a while and I trusted them greatly. And so what I learned was that I have very strong values of right and wrong. And actually, I learned that integrity is my number one value. And so once that line was crossed, a home that I had built, everything that I had just pushed into my work and helping people, it was like a vine that got cut and it was no longer there. And I had no attachment to it ever again. And I've never looked back. So needless to say, I started looking for a job that day. It took me a couple months to get out and find something new. But I will say I would probably have retired in that job. That's how happy I was. And I love the people, the culture. And if you've worked at different companies, not all cultures are the same, and you know that. And I just was in this place where I was so happy. Well, when that happened, I thought, well, it's over because the trust is broken, right? Leadership trainer here, trust is a big deal. And it put me on a trajectory to really leave what I knew and push me into go find something else. And so from there, I moved from, I was a technical trainer there. I became a sales trainer, trying that out. Then I moved into leadership training and different industries, in and out of oil and gas, construction, production, manufacturing. There's a lot more words, but you get the gist of it. So I think that was a really key point, and it was actually really hard. It was like mourning a loss of a friend, because they were in my circle. But I knew what I wasn't going to do, and I knew I would figure it out. And that's pretty much how I kind of run things. Is as an artist, you'll see artists create all different kinds of art and different styles, and you'll go to galleries and you see different things. But that's the cool thing. Art never has the same outcome. That's why it's everywhere in different styles. And so I think if I approach my life of, well, how do I want it to feel? And then I go find things that align with that. So that was a huge moment that really made a right hairpin turn for me in my career. And then another one I'll say was more recent. That kind of like, that's a bookends, I guess. The first one that really hooked it to the left, and then this last one. I was in an organization where it was a ton of hours. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. My health, like blood work was coming back. It came back bad for the first time in my life. And the stress was just immense. And I can handle stress, Beth. It's not like I can't. It's not like it's something no one's ever dealt with, right? And so a challenge was, what am I going to do about it? And I think I work for Megan Inc. You work for Beth Inc. Everyone runs their own company, if you will, and you make decisions for the best interest of that company, whether it's an LLC or just something that you're representing yourself. And so I just started figuring out what I'm going to do about this. I can't stay. I've got to move. And that's how I started my first company, Inspire. And it was doing what I loved, but in a different way that was a challenge to help with the mental health, take a break from the stress part, and go learn something new, because I kind of am addicted to learning new things and the challenge part. But that's the big challenge at the beginning. And then the most recent one to really, I don't know, they put you on your path where you're supposed to go.
Very much so. And I love the way you tied it to being creative and being an artist, because it seems that as storytellers, we get to paint our own storybook and, illustrate what we want to be pictured in there and the words that we want to tell our stories. And, you had a blank canvas after your incident, and you were able to repaint that picture that you dreamed up for yourself. And so that's super inspiring. And I think a lot of us don't take ourselves into consideration when it comes time to the actual person that's running everything, because without you, without your health, without your ability to be able to think and physically do things, it limits your ability to be able to push forward that story or that dream. So very motivating and very, very inspiring. And I love the fact that you were so resilient in the face of adversity. You stayed true to your core values. And that's one thing that I've learned over time, is being able to align my core values with the people around me and really identifying that those people are like-minded and have the same type of mission and vision as I do. And it becomes a very tremendous support system if you have the ability to be able to find that within those that you surround yourself with. So great job on being able to stay firm on that too. Very inspiring.
I heard a quote from a coach of one time. She's a friend of mine, and she said, if you ever think about the last time you got upset, that probably was a value of yours that was being challenged. And so I think I didn't set out, because a lot of people ask me too about the young part or starting your business. And I'm like, I didn't set out with, here's who I am. Life teaches you that as you get opportunities to say, yes, I'll steal for you, or no, I'm not. And it shifts you into figuring that out. So for people listening, you don't have to know it right away. College students that I work with all the time ask me, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with life. I don't know what kind of leader I am. And when I'll say, well, what are your values? I don't really know. That's okay. Life teaches you that. So I don't want people to feel like they have to have it all figured out. I read a ton of books and I'm always dissecting myself. So people, it takes time. So just know that.
Absolutely. I think you have to experience it, and there's going to be a certain point in your time where you're going to have to face it. In my case, it was 2012. I had a person that was in my life ask me, what's your passion and what are your core values? And I couldn't articulate them. I knew what they were. I knew what I inherently believed. I just couldn't get the words, and went on a journey since 2012 to figure it out. And somewhere around 2018, I was able to say, you know what? And, these are what I believe in. And I started identifying the dynamics of my relationship after that, which makes it so much more powerful in terms of just exactly what you said. So, and also going back, one of your favorite quotes is the life of your dreams by Oprah. And so that's very significant as to what you just said. And I like that saying. And so I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit, but while we're on this subject, who was somebody in your life that inspired you, that led you in the directions that you've gone?
I collect good people in my life and I keep them. And if I'm thinking about people that made the most impact, I would say even from early on, we'll go with that, because a lot of people have influenced me. I have mentors. I probably have 5 coaches and mentors right now as a business owner that I talk with. But if I'm thinking about big picture, I'm going to say my parents. And I think so. My dad is an IT guy. He's been in the industry forever, oil and gas consulting. He was always the reference for corporate America and what is acceptable, what norms there are, what I could ask him about, politics and kind of figure out work there. But he has an extreme work ethic. So I think that's where I get that. My mom is a teacher and she's heavily involved with FFA students. And I think she is probably one of the most creative people I know. Only she'll tell you she's not. So it's like that. But she doesn't see it. But you put those together and I think you get an artist that owns their own business, that isn't afraid of change. And I had such a good upbringing that I have a stable foundation and a center core. So when things happen, like you said about the resilience, when things happen, it comes right back to that core. And even last night, I texted my family that I have a cat that's missing, and it broke my heart. I didn't want to tell them because that means I have to admit it. But my brother helps me, mom's chiming in, everybody's trying to help. So I have a support system in addition to the mentoring part, because I can call them and ask different things about life in general. And then I figure it out with business, and I talk to other coaches who own their own. So I kind of cobbled together this really strong, I'll say boundary or moat. We'll say moat, right? You put a moat around a castle. Yeah. My brother is a veterinarian, and so is his wife, Giovanna and Adam. They live in Albuquerque. And I think I learned from them the role model part of dreaming bigger, because I never thought about being a doctor and all the education that comes with it. And so my husband is huge into adventure and support. And he's actually the one that helped me launch into a business. He said, here's the money, take it and go. Let's see what happens. So I think it's my immediate family above most that gives me the core part to be resilient, because life will punch holes in you and you've got to figure out how they fill them up. And it's your choice. Do you use good things to fill them? Who helps you? Or does it go another direction?
Wonderful to have that network that you can trust and you can depend on. And, I find organizations like the National Speakers Association, or any other types of community that you can get yourself involved in, gives you the opportunity to be able to grow yourself. Knowledge is power. You guys have heard Megan repeatedly say she loves to learn, she loves to grow. And as speakers, coaches, consultants, that's essentially where we want to be. We want to get ourselves in an environment, in a group that we can just hear their stories, hear their experiences. Maybe it doesn't apply to you, but you can take it and you can have it become something that you gain value from and learn and grow from as a result of other people's perspectives and their experiences. And so I know in your case, with this experience, with this great support system, storytelling is something that's really important in order to be able to impact the lives of others. How do you find that storytelling does that for you?
I'll start with like a short example. I'm a collector of quotes, which tells stories in a matter of one sentence or two. And if I'm thinking about something super simple like that, or something that takes 20 minutes to explain on stage, and it's about an international story with all kinds of dynamics, I think that storytelling is very important because people resonate with it. And just like what you just mentioned, you may not have the exact same story, but you have pieces you can take from it, like a takeaway. And so I think storytelling is essential when you're on stage, if you're a leader, because you're inspiring people. Think about it this way. Why do parents read books to little kids? Why do little kids like hearing a story? Well, it starts when we're little, right? Also, as adults, we go to the movie theater. Okay, that's a story. Why do you binge on Netflix? Guilty. I just found the series Suits, and I'm like on season 7. OMG, my whole life has been like dedicated to television, which is not normal for me. My husband and I will run to the remote, like, take it off in between sessions. So I think human beings like stories. I think that it's the way our brain processes through things. I think it helps people follow us on a journey. And so, I'm always learning. So my level of storytelling, I think is, I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I don't think I'll ever be an expert at anything. So I'm always learning and growing. I get coaching tips, but I do think that as leaders, we have to figure out what is unique about us that other people may have not seen. How do you share those stories to help them get a new perspective, which is why I love quotes. They're small, but they give sometimes a 180 about something totally different in your life. So I think storytelling is essential, and being part of NSA Houston and NSA National, you're around all sorts of storytellers. So learning how does someone deliver it compared to you, and how do you deliver it best? I think, I'm on the journey, but I definitely think it's a very big piece of leadership and definitely of speaking, because if I were just to come throw stats at you or say the moral of a story, I don't think you'd have TEDx and TED Talks. I don't think you would have movies. I don't think you'd have anything. So yeah, storytelling is essential. It's just a matter of how you do it. And it's always about the other person. What are they going to get out of it? Not what I have to share, but it's about them.
To me, one word: value. What value as a person? It doesn't even have to be a speaker or a storyteller or a consultant or a trainer. None of that. As a person, what value can you bring to the lives of others, of those that are around you? And it's very impactful in what you said, where you identify that experience when you are intentional about what it is or who it is that you are exposing yourself to, because time is valuable. It definitely is something that we can't regain. And so the more strategic you are with your words and your intentions, and I think overall it gives you that path to be able to push through to achieving your goals, the things that you've set your mind to. And so for you, Megan, what does it mean to do it and prove it?
But the do it and prove it came one time when I was at an apartment, like I was living in an apartment, but all the supplies, like the tools to rotate and the high impact wrench and everything was at my parents'. So I go there and we rotate the tires, and we're talking about if I have a flat, where would you put the jack to put under the car? So I learn, where the frame is and where the little notch goes so you don't damage the car or hurt yourself getting it off. Anyway, we put it on with the impact wrench. And as you know, like that's what people use in the mechanic shops. You'll hear the engine rev, like they put it on real fast, but it has power. And I told him, I said, what happens if I need to take this off? I don't have an impact wrench with me. And he said, well, just use the 4-way. If you don't know what a 4-way is, it literally looks like a 4 and it has little ends on it to help you get any tire off. And it also gives you leverage because you can pull on different parts of it. And he said, prove it to yourself. I said, Dad, I can't take that off. An impact wrench put that on. And he said, no, prove it to yourself. He handed me the 4-way and I thought, I feel like a magic trick is about to happen. Is there a joke? There's a camera? No, lo and behold, I took that whole thing off. So do it and prove it means believe in, think of, be creative, think bigger than what you think possible or what you've always been in that little comfort zone, and prove it. Get out the 4-way and go do it. You're going to learn. It's going to be messy. There could be some knuckles you bump, or it could be flawless and you find a new strength.
I love that, which actually leads me to think about our role this year as board members for the National Speakers Association. You and I are new board members, and this is our first year being involved with the organization. But when I was put in my role as director of marketing, my mindset was either fake it till you make it or do it and prove it. One or the other. And, you know, it's important because you touched back on those core values, those things that you inherently believe in. And you and I share one common core value, which is integrity. And that integrity in me pushes me to want to go and learn, to want to be the best that I can be. And so this year, as you being president-elect and also director of membership, tell me kind of, one, I want to know a little bit more about your vision and your focus and where you're looking to get the membership and the organization to, but then also, how do you think that you're going to overcome the challenges and how are you going to push past it in order to make it get to where your goals and your dreams are of this organization?
I'll answer one of the questions first because it'll line it up for the rest, but my focus is value. To me, if you go to the doctor and you tell him we have a cough and you think you have a cold, and they give you something just for the symptoms, they're not fixing the root thing that's going on. They just give you medicine and the cold lasts forever. But you need Tamiflu. Let's knock this thing out instead of Tylenol. Well, value to me is for membership. If we offer value, that's the core reason of why you would join. The symptom is membership. That's the side part. The core of what's going on is how are we offering value to our members? Because then I think people flood in when they find something that's useful, helpful, they learn from. And so my whole strategy for this year and our committee for membership is value add, and focusing on the vision, mission, and values of NSA Houston. What are we targeting? How are we targeting it? How are we accommodating that? Hybrid, virtual, in-person? Is it social events because we need more networking so people can find our business with each other? So that's a big part of what I'm looking at is value. Now, Rome was not built in a day. I know everybody's heard that saying. And so I know you and I were talking about it actually yesterday about bricklaying, which is one brick at a time. And so we're not here to change the world in a day. We're here to listen. I know I am to people in our chapter. And just yesterday, I opened the door for, hey, you want to help be involved in maybe not joining committee, but are you interested in putting together a happy hour? You have a favorite happy hour place? You want to get some people together? I don't care if it's 6 people, 2 people, or 100 people. It's still that value of connecting and being able to meet other professionals. So my vision is value. How are we adding it? How are we doing new things that we've never done before, or dusting off some stuff we've already done and bringing it back to life? And I will say our goal for membership is 70 people this year.
Wow.
But I know Beth and I have our bets on something higher. Beth and I are kind of thinking 100, but we at least doubling membership and then adding on some more is how we get to about 70. But I think that all comes from value because the world is open. Maine could join us. Germany could join. There's a ton of different places that would be able to join us if we offer the value for their business that they want to be a part of. So for membership and president-elect, even next year, it'll be all about what value do we bring to people for the membership rate that they pay. But also, I don't know about you, Beth, but I really want to have some fun. So it's not just about down and dirty and business and that stuff, but how do we have a good time? Take a break from work. Let's go network. Let's do something, have some margaritas.
I love it. Absolutely. It is a true blend of mixing the social elements of it, the value component of it, and then also, again, going back down to time. We understand that being a part of an organization invests your time, and everyone's time is valuable. And so during this time, I think one of the biggest focuses that I've heard from you and the rest of the board is how can we make the most out of that time that we spend together? And I'm really excited about the different ideas that everyone's collaborating and bringing to the table, because again, I think it is a way to be able to listen. And that was a very key term that you used, is listening and hearing what others are saying and what others are doing that we can do in order to be able to improve our organization. And so one last question that I have to get is, what does the future hold for Megan? What are the future aspirations, and what are you looking to do in your next chapters to come?
In my next chapters to come, I would say I'm working on dreaming bigger, because that's harder than you think. And I will say the things that I've envisioned so far are doing, obviously, speaking on a large stage with thousands of people. Also, I'd like to do a TED Talk. Once I hone in my message, I'm still working on that. And I'd like to write a book. I've kind of outlined the structure of that so far. But beyond that, I expect more. I just don't know what that looks like yet, because it takes, well, it's like taking a lid off of a glass ceiling. You kind of have, like, I can't see anything yet. But anyway, new things, bigger things, different, and being open-minded. For when President-elect walked in front of me and they said, "Hey, would you like to do this?" And I thought, well, I've never dreamed of that, but that makes sense. It would be fun. Okay. So I say bigger and better, and just continuing to learn and meet great people.
And I love it because it also sounds like you are willing to take the risks, the challenges, overcome the adversities, and just face them head on as the opportunities present themselves. So looking forward to this journey and this next chapter with you. And I am thrilled to have you as president-elect and head of the membership committee. And I think you are going to do a phenomenal job. So congratulations. And again, let's make magic happen.
Thank you for your time together. But as you know, my training background bleeds into speaking. I think it's important to celebrate the good things and kick off a good year with good celebrations. So if you wouldn't mind, count to 3 with me, and then I'd like to kind of celebrate together as we kick off this year with a new board, with a vision and mission to do some really great things. So count with me. Do you want to go 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3? Your choice.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1 sounds more exciting.
Okay. Yes. Ready? 3, 2,
1.
Let's go, USA.
I'm looking so forward to growing with you, Megan. This unique journey and the insights you've shared today are undeniably powerful. Your story is destined to resonate with our audience. Thank you again for joining us, and I'm looking forward to an exceptional year to serve on the board of the National Speakers Association alongside with you. As we conclude another episode of Storytellers, we want to extend our sincere thanks to all of our listeners. Be sure to stay tuned as we uncover more stories of growth, wisdom, and self-learning and empowerment. Until next time, this is Beth Rohani signing off.